We're coming to you live from the Facebook Live Cube here at the Move the Dial Summit 2019. And I have the pleasure of chatting with Danny Guillory, who is the head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at DropBox. He's joined us from San Francisco. So, hey Danny, how's it been going at DropBox?
Well, things have been really exciting at DropBox. I've been there a little over 4 months now, almost 5 months. And I think what attracted me was that there's a real level of commitment at the leadership level for some of the things we're doing, and also a real opportunity because of how much the company's actually invested in a lot of the functions that I work with as partners. You know, and what's interesting about this work is that although a lot of times the first thing we look at is how well staffed the diversity function is, and mine is, I'm very fortunate to have that also, but there are a lot of other partners such as talent management, talent acquisition or recruiting, learning and development, as well as people analytics functions that we have to lean on a lot and partner with a lot to be able to do our work effectively. And if they're not there or they're not built up properly, we can't do it. So that kind of combination of resources, I think, made me really attracted to the role.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so what would you say, how many folks are on your team now? Like how many people are really helping to move it forward at DropBox?
So to give you a sense of things, DropBox is a 2,800 person company, and I have a staff of 7 people on my team. To give you a sense of what they do and what the roles are, I have one person who is a strategy and ops lead. She really lives in the analytics and also drives the team strategically. I have 2 people who serve as diversity business partners, so they work directly with CEO staff members to help them with their own diversity plans. I've got one person who's a diversity program manager who drives a lot of our internal programs, so high potential programs that we run, training, different things like that.
Like L&D meets
L&D, but also larger initiatives. So, for example, we're going to be having site councils at each of our sites on diversity and inclusion. She'll run those. So basically, anything that cuts across the company and doesn't run by business unit is really her. That's programmatic. There's also another program manager who manages all of our external partnerships. So organizations like Move the Dial that we may work with, the National Society of Black Engineers, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, things like that. There's also somebody who manages our employee resource groups. And if you don't know what employee resource groups, those are typically groups within organizations that are brought together by identity groups. And typically they're groups that have been in some way historically disenfranchised or marginalized, to give them kind of a safe place to speak and for them to maybe have some unique programming to help support their integration into the organization as a whole. And then finally, a new role, which is kind of new for this kind of work, which is what we call a diversity engagement manager. And the reason why I call that out is that a lot of times what we're trying to do is have people adopt some kind of behavior change. And to do that, we can't think of things in a programmatic way. So when you think about, for example, training, a lot of people will take training, and training I think is a good thing, but I describe training as more of a launch party, okay? Because there have to be a number of things in an employee's life cycle before they actually adopt a certain behavior. And so we created this role that's really a combination of change management as well as communications and thinking about those strategically.
So, like, what would that person's day look like?
Yeah. So one of the things that person does on my team is right now they're planning our entire communication strategy for 2020. So what they're doing is they're actually looking at all the different things we'll be doing, the different training programs we'll be running, the different communication opportunities that we're going to have, and she's thinking about what we want to drive over the course of the year. She's also gathering information from all the different programs that we're running and trying to distill it down to about 3 or 4 key themes that then get emphasized at different points throughout the year. So it could be in the places that in the communication opportunities that we drive, but it will also be, for example, what's the kind of content that we want to have our different executive leaders share with their groups, okay? And again, it will reinforce these themes over and over again in ways so that people will actually start to adopt the kind of behaviors we're looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Canadian Tech has a lot to learn from what you're doing with your team,
Yes.
and it'll be really exciting to hear, in a year or so,
Yeah.
how things have gone. So yes, thank you, Danny. This is Danny Guillory, head of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion with DropBox, signing off from the Facebook Live Queue.
Thanks, Sarah.